So recently I got a good question from my buddy Jim. He sent in a message on Facebook and was asking about recovering from a meniscus tear surgery. He knows that I had a couple of meniscus tears and was curious how I got back to training from them. So first off, Jim, thanks for the question, brother. And for those that don't know, I had two tears on my meniscus, one on my left knee, one on my right knee. The one on my right knee came when I was 18. The other one happened when I was 29. So the first one happened during wrestling. I was at the regional tournament in my senior year, and I was sitting down Indian style, and I'm watching the match. My buddy was competing, and I stood up real quick to cheer for him, and I felt this lock on my knee. I straightened it out, and I felt a loud pop, and it felt okay. I could walk, but it was painful. I went on to win the rest of the tournament. I had 3 more matches that day. I went on to win the tournament, but the next day I couldn't walk, and it was pretty brutal. Then about a year later, as training, it finally tore, and I had to go to the doctor and have it shaved down. Then my left knee happened a couple years ago, back in 2014. I was just training one day, took a step. It actually happened on my birthday, right? What a shitty birthday present. I took a step back when I was training with my buddy, and all of a sudden I felt this pinch in my knee. I couldn't straighten my knee out all the way, and which kind of led me to believe it was meniscus, and it was a meniscus tear. So, it was a bummer, right? It was really super bummed out about that. And let me share that the way that I went about recovering from both of these tears were completely different. As you can imagine, when I was younger, I didn't do the things I should have done. And then as I was older, I did it in a much more intelligent way, right? I was a little wiser, a little older. And so I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned from both of those experiences, because I really fucked up the first one, right, as far as recovery goes, and I did it very well the second time. So the first piece of advice I would share with you is to, first off, man, you're gonna feel good, right? Like, because for me, I couldn't straighten my knee out for some time, and all of a sudden you shave that meniscus down a little bit, you're gonna feel good quickly, right? You're gonna feel like, man, I've got mobility back, I'm walking around, I feel good. Resist the urge to get back into training and just jump back in. My dumb ass, when I was young, I went to my first tournament 6 weeks out, right? 6 weeks after surgery. I shouldn't have been doing that. I went to a tournament and competed because I was just too damn antsy and stubborn and impatient, right? Wait for a little while, right? Give yourself time to properly recover. What's an extra month or 2 months for the rest of your life with that thing, right? It's nothing. So be smart, because you're gonna feel good. Resist the urge to train full speed. Secondly, keep your diet in check. Your diet is super important. I know that when I was a young kid, I completely just went crazy because I was down in the dumps because I couldn't train. And training a lot of times, at least I've seen this from my experience and my students too, is that when you train, you have like a reason to eat well. But then when you're not training, that reason's not there. And usually it's because if you go to the gym with cheeseburger belly, right, you're not gonna feel too hot. So you're not gonna train, or you're not gonna go to training, you're not gonna eat that cheeseburger. But then if you're at home, you're sitting kind of down in the dumps, you're watching highlight videos on YouTube and wishing you were on the mats, and you're like, well, I'll just have a cheeseburger. I'm probably not gonna have that repercussion if because you're not going to train. So keep your diet in check, because when you get back to training, you don't want to be fighting with an extra 20 pounds of fat to lose, and at the same time, you don't want to put even more weight for that that knee that is recovering to have to deal with, right? So just eat your diet, eat clean. You're probably going to bring your carbohydrate intake down as your activity level drops. Okay, now we'll get into some of the other tips. So first off, take your PT seriously. That goes without saying, right? Do the stuff. Put the same sort of energy that you put into your training into your PT work. It makes a huge difference. Next, jiu-jitsu tips. The way I'll kind of give you the way that we sort of ramped up my training from the get-go. So first off, I didn't do any sort of real training for about 2.5, 3 weeks. I taught in some capacity, about a little week and a half after the surgery. I was just kind of walking around and kind of helping. But in about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I started doing movement drills off my back. Lots of hip work, nothing really crazy, nothing that would lock my legs together where there was pressure. Mostly it was just movement type stuff. Following that, it was about 4 to 6 weeks, I started doing very light standing passing. I really didn't like doing low passing where I would have to put my knees on the mat because there was some swelling there. So I did a lot of it standing up, and I would do it very slowly, right? And this was to get used to that footwork and to reintroduce my body to doing that kind of stuff, because again, you don't want to go back to full rolling and your body's not used to doing these movements anymore. So I did it very slowly, just kind of moving through the motions, doing bullfighter passes and X passes, things like that. And then at about, I think it was around 8 weeks is what we had it set at. 8 weeks, I started doing some situational rolling, right? And with the situational rolling, and I think this is important, you know, when you say, hey, let's roll light, a lot of times light ends up ramping itself up all of a sudden into full rolling. What we did was, you have an objective, I have an objective, we're in a position that's gonna be safe to my knee, let's stick here. And so we would do situational rolling. I did not start full rolling until about 10 weeks out, and even then I was very picky with my partners. I would choose the guys that were a little bit more conservative rather than just anyone. And this was just to, you know, be sure. At about 12 weeks I finally started just, all right, I'm good to go. And what I noticed is that because I went through this process of building my body back up through that recovery, first off, my injury time, even though I was 10 years older, I healed much quicker on this one, right? To got back to full strength, no problem. And then what I also noticed was that when I got back to the mat, I didn't lose anything, right? I didn't come back fat and out of shape. I had been doing some light cardio on the bike. I've been doing my upper body workouts and things like that, doing my PT, and had been doing the drills, so that when I hit the mat and started going full speed, again, I wasn't in the best shape that I ever was, but I wasn't in bad shape by any means. And I hit the ground running with it, and I felt great. And after that, I think it was maybe about 6 weeks after that 12-week period, I had my first tournament. So what I would share with you guys is, if you're gonna have meniscus surgery, if you're gonna have that thing repaired or that thing removed, follow your doctor's orders, listen to your PT, do it, okay? And then as far as training goes, take some of those tips, okay? Be slow about getting into it. Keep your diet in check, and incrementally, you know, ramp up the intensity and reintroduce everything to your body so that you do it the right way, and so that you don't tear it up. Because again, you don't want to like have to go through this thing again. You want to be smart about it. You only get one body. Your body is a finite resource, and once it is used up, it is used up, and you don't want to be done with it, okay? So again, that's my advice to you. Be smart, take your time,